All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Planning Commission for the City of Indio Wednesday, March 27th meeting to order at 6 o'clock. I feel like I haven't done this in 100 years. If we could please have roll call.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja. Commissioner Isiano.
Present.
Commissioner Fajardo. Vice Chairperson Lopez.
Present.
Chairperson Franz.
Present.
For the record, Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja and Commissioner Fajardo are absent.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll please rise. And Nico, would you please lead us?
Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, public comment for items not on the agenda. Do we have any requests to speak?
There are none.
None online or anything? No. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and close the public comment time and move on to item number 4, 4.1, which is an minutes for the meeting of February 15th, 2024. Does anybody have any questions, or do I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve minutes for February 15th and February 28th.
I can second, however, I believe I was absent.
And I
February
think I was
28th.
absent on one of those too, right?
I believe for the February 15th meeting, that was the adjourned, but everyone was here.
So we can do
For-
the 15th.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you here?
I was here on the 15th.
Okay. I wasn't here on the 15th.
Okay.
I was thinking, wait a minute, I know I wasn't here for one of the meetings.
Yeah, it was the,
So we don't have enough people to vote? Do we have to?
So, let me introduce, I'm Jennifer. Nice to meet everybody. May as well chat now and get a chance to know you. So with respect to the meetings that you were all here, you could definitely take that vote separately. With respect to the meeting that you were absent, it only requires a majority of the quorum to vote, so take that separately as well.
I was also absent on the 28th.
Okay, so we'll go ahead, and if Vice Chair's good, we'll take them separately. So we'll do the February 15th first. And Jackie made a motion, and
I second.
Nico seconded, and we'll go ahead and take a vote, please.
Commissioner Isiano.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lopez.
Yes.
Chairperson Franz.
I abstain.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 4.2.
Make a motion to approve Planning Commission meeting minutes for February 28th, 2024.
I'll second. We can have roll call, please.
Commissioner Isiano.
Abstain.
Vice Chairperson Lopez.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Franz.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries.
thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to public hearing items. Item 5.1, case file 230874, request for a conditional approval of planning review for the Riverside County Office of Education expansion. Do we have a staff report? Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kendra Reef, Principal Planner. Tonight, as Chairperson Franz stated, I'm going to be giving a presentation on the Riverside County Office of Education expansion project. The applicant is requesting for planning review approval, which is granted at the Planning Commission level unless appealed to the City Council. The assessor parcel numbers are 612-170-001, 612-170-009, and 612-170-010. It's located on the south side of Dr. Carrion Boulevard and east of Calhoun Street, adjacent to the existing Riverside County Office of Education building. The general plan designation for this property is Workplace and Employment District, and the zoning is light industrial. For reference, here's the project site. The applicant is proposing the development of a new 33,000 square foot building with offices, a conference center, meeting rooms, and a storage warehouse facility to store office and school supplies. The new building will be developed on vacant land adjacent to our COE's existing office building. The project includes site improvements for expanded staff and visitor parking, solar carports, and expanded stormwater management system. For reference, these are the proposed building elevations. The landscape plan is in compliance with the City of Indio plant palette and contains drought-resistant and drought-tolerant plants. There will be shade trees along the perimeter and interior portions of the site plan and in the parking areas. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan 2040, and the project is also compliant with the City of Indio Development Code. The project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to Section 15332 infill development. With the application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved, and all conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of staff at this time? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the public hearing item and open it up for discussion, and we invite the applicant to address the commission if they so choose.
Sorry. Okay. Awesome. Good evening. Matt Snellings, Executive Director of Operational Support Services for the Riverside County Office of Education. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to introduce our project to you. I believe we were here in October. One time tonight we have some refined color boards for you and a presentation from our fantastic architects, Alex Gordon and Andy Thompson from DLR Architects.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Thompson. Again, I'm a principal in charge with DLR Group. So, yeah, we came back several months ago and did a preliminary, presentation just to get your feedback. And so we took those comments, went back and made some refinement, and I think we're very excited about the project. I think it's going to really serve the community well. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Alex, who's going to present the design concepts.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. So I'm Alex Gordon. I'm the design architect on the project. And this is our design for the Riverside County Office of Education. We believe that this is going to bring significant value to the community while also bolstering the architectural look and feel of this area, which is close to your Civic Center. Obviously, it's a little bit south, and it's off of Dr. Carrion Drive, which we see as kind of the main arterial just south of Dr. Carrion. Close to that, we also have some storage facilities, some residential to the south and to the east. So we're trying to be with our design as make sure that we're as careful with those areas as possible. I'm going to keep moving. So again, residential to the south and to the west, and then to the east we have industrial. To the north we also have storage facilities. You can see a slight wind analysis and some solar environmental analysis that we've done as well. And as we talk about the city fabric of Indio, we really wanted to kind of look at some of the recent projects you've done, some of the newer projects, and some of these projects that we see as bringing architectural value to the community. And we wanted to not mimic or replicate, but riff off of these concepts in a way that was palatable to the community of Indio, that made sense from a color perspective, but also from a massing and a formal perspective as well. So we'll get into what some of that looks like. And then these are some of the buildings in the area. So there's a new public safety campus happening to the west on Dr. Carrion Drive as well. To the north, we have a new West Coast Storage, which is just kind of a regular old storage building. You have a nondescript industrial building to the east, and then again to the north, you have an existing storage building that's already there as well, with some beige and red tones. So coming to our site, these are views from the northwest, northeast, west, and southwest. So this gives you kind of a good feel for the existing architecture that's there. Our COE already occupies one of these buildings. So they have a little bit of some white tones, some red tones, some and some green tones, which we'll probably propose to paint later on in the development of the project. And then you have fencing that goes all the way around the property, which will remain. So this is our site in its existing form. You have your existing building on that corner, and then you can see we're combining 3 parcels to the east and to the south of the site that are going to kind of form our new building and parking lot areas. So we have 3 main programs that are going into the building. There's an office program, a conference center program, which is a little bit more public, and then a warehouse program shown in the blue. And the way we organized this site was try to take that warehouse and put it to what we consider to be the back of the site, so that from an aesthetic point of view, if you're a community member, you're really going to be seeing that conference center space, which is going to be light, it's going to be open, it's going to have a lot of glass, and it's going to be more branded for the City of Indio, while the warehouse component, which is functional, will be less visible from the street. And then the office, again, can be more of a public-facing program. And then we took that conference center component, which we see as more of a public component, right, more of a resource. We rotated it a little bit to open it up to the community, and then we've included a branding element on the front of it, so it really elevates that civic presence for the building, which we think can bring a lot of value to Dr. Carrion Drive, both for the client but also for the community. And this is kind of the building in its final form. You'll see that the mass of the conference center rises up a little bit above the rest of the building, both to hide that warehouse, but also to give height to what is going to be a really nice civic building for the campus. So this is our zoning analysis plan. I won't dwell on this too long, but we are in compliance with all the setbacks, the height limits, any bulking, anything. We're far enough away from the property to the east as well. So we're in full compliance with zoning as of right now. One thing I will point out is we've reduced a couple of our landscape or our islands in the parking. We'll still have trees, but they'll just be slightly smaller islands, and that shouldn't be anything. I think we talked about that at the last planning meeting. We had that approved. And then this is our architectural site plan. A couple things I want to point out. So we do have parking to the north, south, and southwest of the building. We also have a retention basin or an infiltration basin that happens on the west side of the site. So you'll see that'll actually be planted. There's a bridge that goes over that from the existing building, and a walking path that works its way across the entire site, which will also be planted and have areas for pulling off and eating lunch, sitting, whatever you want to do on that walking path. And I think that'll also be a really nice resource for Calhoun Drive as well, so you won't necessarily see so much parking lot. You'll see a lot of nice indigenous planting happening there as well. I'm going to pass it over to Nicole Volpe to talk a little bit about our landscape approach. Is Nicole a panelist? Okay, very cool. Take it away, Nicole.
Thank you very much, Alex, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Nicole Volpe. I'm a landscape architect with Albert Webb Associates. So I'm going to review. We did have a similar presentation earlier. I'm going to review what we have that remains and a few changes that we've made. So the landscape design concept and narrative and intent is to reflect the existing landscape character of Indio and the surrounding areas. So in this area, we have a natural Sonoran desert that we wanted to reflect in the design, in the planting, and in the materials. And we'll use such plantings as are climate adapted and low water use and natural to this area. A few of the elements that we have used in the spaces, as Alex mentioned, along the pathway system are these outdoor shaded seating areas. And so those provide seating areas and connections along the pathway that Alex was showing you. The basin planting is based on the Lush and Efficient Inspiration book that we were given. And so you can see how we use low water use, drought tolerant plants that are consistent with the planning regulations, but in such a way that they provide a very lush aesthetic. So we can go to the next slide. Here are examples of the low water use trees, shrubs on the left-hand side, and those will be along the majority of the site, in the parking lots, and along the basin. We did allow in our irrigation planting for a component of moderate use plants, so you can see those trees and shrubs on the right-hand side, and those will be primarily focused around the entrance of the building and the front parking lot along Dr. Carrion Drive. We can go to the next slide. So as referenced before, we did do a preliminary irrigation exhibit, and what we're seeing here, as I just spoke to, is in the green area, this is where we've allowed for some moderate use water use plants, and in the red and blue areas, which represent the basin, those are areas where we would have very low or low water use plants. So this is a conceptual irrigation exhibit that we used early on with the planning, but the site design has changed slightly. And we can go to the next slide, please. So this is the landscape design planting for the front of the building. We really did want to reflect the natural environment, but also the architectural character. So we are using in this area some Washingtonia palms. So we're seeing those along the streetscape of Dr. Carrion Boulevard, but we're also seeing those along the facade of the building to really reflect the verticality of some parts of the building and to accentuate the architecture. There are shade trees throughout the parking lot and a small basin centralized within the parking lot. And this is again where we would see some of the more lush, moderate water use plants. We can go to the next slide. This is a design planting around the southern parking lot area. So you'll see some shade trees along the eastern border, and along the southern border, that's where you're going to see in this instance a partial view of the pathway and one of the seating areas. The shade trees provide shade for the pathway, but also for the parking lot area, and they also screen from the adjacent residential areas. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this slide shows the western parking lot area and the basin, which you can see is along Calhoun, and that's indicated with the primarily green that shows the basin bottom, which is a seated basin bottom, and the surrounding slopes are planted with a combination of different shrubs, flowering, variations of color and texture, and so they create a very interesting, appealing streetscape. Right along the street, we do have evergreen, broadleaf evergreen trees along Calhoun, and again in the parking lot, we have shade trees which shade the parking lot spaces, which is part of the CalGreen requirements, but also shade the seating areas and the pathway. So we could go to the next slide, please. In the hardscape design, we narrowed down the materials to a poured-in-place concrete paving, which is a natural finish, so natural concrete color. And then additionally, we're using an exposed aggregate, so it looks like a seeded aggregate concrete paving area. And that is used primarily around the entrance to announce and show a differentiation to the entrance area. We are also using, in some instances, decomposed granite, and there will be some gravel. So primarily in this area, you can see where the concrete paving and the entrance area is. And then if we could go to the next slide, please. In this area, you can see where we're using the exposed aggregate paving. There's a seating area for users of the conference center to the south of the building, and in this image, it's on the north side of the site, north end of the parking lot, and the rest of the pathways are actually concrete, but the seating areas at the bottom, this actually picture shows them very well. You can see where we've got two seating areas. Those are both going to be the decomposed granite, but the pathway will be a consistent hard surface concrete. So we can go to the next slide, please. And this shows the one additional seating area on the southwest corner, which connects the path, which goes to the east and to the north. And then on the north end here, this is a good image of where the bridge is located. So this connects the existing building to this new pathway circuit and to the new parking lot. And those are the different slides for landscape. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nicole. And a point of clarification, I just want to state that this pathway is a resource for the people on site for the building. It won't always necessarily be open to the public. That'll be up to Matt and his team at RCOE to decide who's using that. Now we saved the pretty pictures for the end so that you're excited by the end. So we're going to share some of those. So this is kind of the front of the building look. We have a really nice perforated branding panel that extends from the building and sort of defines this canopy that connects the two buildings, but also gives some beauty to that street facade, which we think is going to be really nice. Off of Dr. Carrion is where this would be. And then the building sort of begins to splay its wings a little bit based on the original concept, which was derived from the Cahuillan Indian tribe. This is the west side of the site, so you won't see much of this because we have a lot of trees and the basin that's happening, but this is the warehouse side. There's a little bit of branding, so as you drive in off of that driveway, you'll kind of understand this is Riverside County, and it's just a nice, very textural block, and it'll match the existing building. And then this is the entry lobby to the building, which is midway on that elevation, so it's where the office and the conference center connect. There will be a backlit RCOE logo. There's a lot of glazing, a lot of glass. It will feel very open, and hopefully it signifies lobby for the building. And then to talk a little bit about the material palette, so we have a concrete masonry structure in most places. Where the conference center happens, we have a brace frame system. So it's a steel lateral system, vertical and lateral system with metal panels that are going to be backlit. So you'll have some brown metal panels, and you'll see those slivers on the facade. Those will actually light up at night. You can change colors, do something interesting, just red and green for Christmas type of deal. And then you can see those really nice palm trees happening at the front of the building there. The storefronts are dark bronze anodized, so those will play off of those metal panels, and then you'll get a nice gray colored glazing from the vitro acuity that we're using. Anything on the facade like doors or anything that's not either an anodized aluminum, metal, or any of these other materials will be painted the Dunn Edwards black walnut to match the storefronts. And that's it for us. So we're really excited about this project. We think it brings a lot of value both to RCOE, also to the city of Indio, and we're really excited about the design, and we think it's something that we've collaborated on that's very great, and we're very, very excited about it. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there questions? Questions? No? Okay, well, I've got a couple. So, I think this is beautiful. I think it will look really nice in that part of our city. With our, heat, it's I love color, and every time it's bright, and this isn't, it looked darker on the report that we got, so I was a little more nervous, but it looks lighter here. Like I like it better it's not quite like a dark brown, it's more of a little bit of a bronze, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a little worried about that, so I feel better. How is that metal going to do with our heat? I mean, is it going to get dark over time? Is it going to maintain its color?
It'll maintain its color. It's not gonna change.
Perfect.
It's a powder coated
Okay.
factory applied, so it's not like a field applied paint finish. So it's intended to be
To take the
survive.
heat and be good. Okay,
I believe
so
it's a 50-year.
50-year. That's good. I probably all I got anyway, so we're good.
Maybe me too.
So that's good. I love the fact that there's going to be seating and shades, and I did notice there are umbrellas. And umbrellas come and go. You put them up when you open the building and it looks great, and then the wind knocks them down and they get damaged and they don't get replaced. Is there any consideration to do maybe a little more permanent shade structure that isn't going to get quickly demolished by the wind or something else?
So there's no umbrellas.
It's just the picture?
And that's probably which
keep going back.
Was it in the landscape plan?
Maybe. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Where is it? Come on. I saw umbrellas. Where are they? They were in a seated area. Where did they go?
Let me see here. Those are probably boulders.
It was where the benches were shown, where people could sit and maybe have lunch or something like that.
So we won't have umbrellas
Okay.
on the site, so we can, and if we are showing umbrellas, we'll make
It's
sure
just- it's just
to get rid
cosmetic.
of them. Those
Okay.
aren't something that we would provide as the architect or as,
Okay.
I will say that we do have a covered lunch seating area that's to
Okay.
the south of the building, built in as part of the building, so that's something that will be usable for the occupants.
So it's more permanent, which is what I was
Totally
asking for.
permanent.
Perfect. That was great. See if there was something else. You keep mentioning a conference building. I'm assuming this is going to be for large gatherings. Can you tell me how many people do you think will fit? Like, how large is this conference? I know it's not like a convention center, but what?
Yeah, so it's actually a very interesting and innovative design, and I can unpack that a little bit. So the way that RCOE has done it is they've created a prototype in Riverside that uses skyfold partitions, so they actually recede into the ceiling. So it breaks into 6 about 960 style rooms, which is your typical classroom, and then it unfolds to create a larger like conference room, which takes up the most of that bar. So I believe on our like occupancy plans, it's somewhere upwards of 300 plus people that can actually fit in there, and the parking is designed to accommodate that. So it could be a relatively large gathering, or it could be 6 smaller gatherings.
Perfect, thank you. One more. On the landscape, on the parking area, I noticed that there's 2 very robust landscapes, right? There's a lot of trees and flowers and shrubs. And then there's one area that one,
This one
doesn't
yes.
seem to have, is there a reason why this one was not given the same attention?
Yes, sorry, I should have mentioned this during the presentation. So we've included solar canopies over these parking areas. So these will be shaded parking spaces by solar canopies, which in turn fulfills our CalGreen commitment to California. So that all of that solar is something that's required by California's code.
That makes sense now. Thank you very much. Those were all my questions. Do you guys have any other questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. We'll open up to the public. Is there anyone here who's interested in discussing this item?
There are no public comments.
No? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Do we have any questions of staff? If not, I can entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to give approval for case file number 23-0874, determining that the proposed project is categorically exempt from CEQA.
I'll second the motion.
We could have roll call, please.
Commissioner Isiano,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. We look forward to having this built in our city.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 7, since there are no action items. A study session, 7.1, for the project consultation Oasis at Indios Pacific Plan Project. Do we have a staff report or just the applicant?
I just have a quick memo that I'll read over just to give you some context, and then the applicant can move forward with their presentation. So just as an introduction, the project is located at the southwest corner of Avenue 42 and Monroe Street. It's comprised of assessor parcel numbers 610-020-001, 610-020-010, 012, 013, 021, 034, and 036. The current general plan designation over the property is mixed-use neighborhood and regional commercial. The current zoning is specific plan MUSP and mixed-use neighborhood and regional commercial. So the specific plan that's over the property is the gateway specific plan. As part of the project entitlement process, they will be requesting to be removed from the specific plan. So the proposed project seeks approval of the Oasis at Indio specific plan, which would establish zoning, development standards, and design guidelines, allowing future mixed-use development, which includes industrial, commercial, and residential, of the approximately 186-acre specific plan property. The specific plan would facilitate establishment of a community where multifamily residential housing can support the proposed businesses that are located within walking distance. No specific development project is currently proposed in conjunction with the specific plan. So at this stage, it's just legislative in nature. The proposed specific plan would include a mixed-use district and industrial district separated into 4 planning areas, planning areas 1 through 4. Planning area, or PA1, is situated on approximately 66 acres along the northern boundary of the site and would be designed or designated as a mixed-use district. Planning Area 2 is located on approximately 5 acres east of Planning Area 1 at the southwest corner of Avenue 42 and Monroe Street, while Planning Area 3 occupies 10 acres south of PA2. Similar to PA1, Planning Areas 2 and 3 proposed mixed-use districts. Collectively, PAs 1, 2, and 3 would permit a maximum development of up to 50 dwelling units per acre for a total of 3,240 dwelling units and a combined total of 20,000 square feet of non-residential uses or an equivalent level of development. Planning Area 4, located south of PA1 and west of PA2 and 3, occupies approximately 100 acres of the project. PA4 proposes a development of 1.8 square foot of industrial development. Square feet, excuse me. Public right-of-ways would occupy 5 acres, while the east-west trending roadway that goes through the site, A Street, would cover 10.19 acres of the project area. There's a table that's noted in the project memo that you can review if you're interested, that kind of notes everything that I just said. So to save us all some time, I'll just get to the staff comments. So the project will be seeking a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission to the City Council for a general plan amendment, zoning map amendment, removal from the gateway specific plan, the approval of their specific plan, a development agreement, and tentative parcel map applications. The project is required to obtain approval from the City Council. As noted above, the project does not propose any specific development at this time. The applicant has not submitted a planning review application at this time. A formal planning review application and the approval of the planning review application will be required prior to the development of the property. The project has completed an initial study in compliance with CEQA. The initial study determined that an environmental impact report will be necessary to analyze all potential environmental impacts resulting from the project. The applicant's environmental consultants are currently in the process of completing the environmental analysis and technical studies for the project. The project's EIR must be completed and demonstrate compliance with CEQA prior to going before the Planning Commission and City Council. So if you have any questions for me, I can answer them, or the applicant can give their presentation at this time.
All right, do you have any questions for staff at this time?
Oh.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have the applicant come up.
Sorry, our assistant city attorney is gonna jump in.
We just wanted to make clear that we're still working, obviously, with the developer on the site plans and all the goodies for the project. I could barely see. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. And we wanted to just make sure that everything will comport with the Monroe Interchange project, because we know it's right abutting there.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to Indio.
Thank you. Commissioners, my name is Corey Harple. I'm with BH Properties, Development Manager with BH Properties. I want to thank you for taking the time tonight for this project consultation, and we're excited to be here, and we really value and appreciate your input on this project. Oops, let me hit this. Before we get started, I thought a little bit of information on BH Properties. BH Properties was founded over 30 years ago and is a family-owned, privately held, California-based real estate company focused on a diverse portfolio of unique, community-centric real estate projects. BH Properties owns and manages nearly 10 million square feet across 16 states with assets ranging from multifamily, retail, office, and industrial. BH Properties is committed to creating a project that helps Indio meet its housing and commercial needs. That also benefits the community by providing new businesses, attracting job opportunities, and creating additional revenue and reinforcing Indio as an attractive place for growth. Oops. I guess our new slide didn't get in there. Let me go, whoops, go the wrong way. Let me go this way and I'll come back. One of the greatest assets offered by the Oasis at Indio is its location. As you can see from the look on the map, it's laid just north of I-10, which is a regional transportation corridor, south of Avenue 42, a general plan identified key multimodal corridor in North Indio, and west of Monroe Street, which provides direct access to I-10. It's surrounded by mostly vacant property except to the east. And then I'll go back to here. Before we dive into the plan, I thought it would be good, as Kendra mentioned, to understand the underlying general plan designations and zoning. Though we are proposing a general plan and zone change, I think you'll see that most of our proposed uses are not too dissimilar than what's currently allowed. The rendering on the screen here is the corner of Avenue 42 and Monroe Street. So the existing general plan, as Kendra mentioned, consists of regional commercial and mixed-use neighborhood. Those totals would allow up to 3,240 residential units and 3.3 to 6.2 million square feet of commercial. From the zoning standpoint, we have regional commercial, mixed-use neighborhood, and then the gateway specific plan, which is on the west side of the property. Those uses would allow up to 1,338 units and 4.4 million square feet of commercial. The last presentation was down in the details. I'm going to pull you way up to 50,000 feet here. So the Oasis at Indio Specific Plan would establish a mixture of employment and residential land uses, arranged in a concise, efficient manner that allow ease of access and complements the surrounding community. In addition, the Specific Plan would establish development standards and design guidelines to guide the development of the site. The Oasis at Indio Specific Plan has two primary land use districts: mixed use, which consists of residential and commercial, and industrial. The Oasis at Indio Specific Plan property is divided into 4 planning areas for development plus an area reserved for a future IID substation. Planning areas 1, 2, and 3, situated along Avenue 42 and Monroe Street, comprise the mixed use district on approximately 80 acres. The mixed-use designation allows for medium to high density, multifamily residential and commercial land uses in a vertical or horizontal mixed-use configuration. The 3 mixed-use zones allow for residential densities from 20 to 50 DU per acre with a maximum of 3,240 units and 20,000 square feet of commercial or equivalent intensity. Encompassing 100 acres in the southern portion of the specific plan is Planning Area 4, which is designated for 1,806,290 square feet of industrial uses. This planning area is designed to accommodate buildings of various sizes that could house users such as general light industry, light manufacturing, warehouse, and distribution uses. These types of uses all benefit from the proximity to I-10. A Street, which provides the east-west vehicular access for the industrial uses to Monroe Street and then directly onto immediate to I-5, it will help in keeping most of the truck traffic off Avenue 42. A Street also provides a transition zone for Planning Area P4 or Planning Area 4 to the residential uses to the north. This transition will be supplemented by decorative screen walls and an enhanced landscape transition zone on the north side of A Street. Depending on market conditions, the residential could either be for sale or for rent. And the residential development is envisioned to include private on-site amenities such as fitness rooms, community pools, clubhouses for its residents and guests. This is a conceptual rendering of Monroe and I-10. In this concept, you can see the 4-story building on the left side of the screen. That would be a potential hotel, and then a market in the center of the site. This is PA3. As noted in the staff report, we are not proposing any specific development at this time. The specific plan is being prepared to be inherently flexible. This will allow the plan to respond to a variety of opportunities and market conditions. However, the development will be governed by development standard, design guidelines, and land use conversion ratios. There are a variety of development configurations that can be generated by the specific plan. We have produced a couple preliminary concepts to help illustrate implementation. On the screen is scenario number 1. This illustrates the max build out of 3,240 residential units and 20,000 square feet of commercial, along with the 1.8 million square feet of industrial highlighted in purple. In this concept, the commercial is integrated into the ground floor of the residential buildings for a vertical mixed-use concept. This slide illustrates another concept that we creatively call scenario 2. This is a horizontal mixed-use concept. And in this concept, the residential unit count would drop to 1,327, and the commercial uses would increase to 71,600 square feet, and again, include the 1.8 million square feet of industrial that's in green here. The commercial is highlighted in this concept with a 28-key hotel and a larger commercial user, such as a market on PA3, and the other uses could be inline shops or restaurants. A few of the community benefits provided by this project include the provision of housing to help the City of Indio meet its housing needs. Employment. The project is estimated to provide 1,300 new jobs and up to 2,100 construction jobs annually until project build out. The provision of a 2.4 acre IID substation to enhance electrical reliability in the area, and it will contribute to the establishment of the Avenue 42 corridor as envisioned in the general plan, with a livable community that includes live, work, and shopping options. And the infusion of $147 million annually into the local economy at build-out, and the payment of approximately $43 million in development fees. Sustainability is a key component to the Oasis at Indio. The project promotes sustainability through both land use and design. In addition, the following measures or design features will be implemented, contributing further to sustainability. The specific plan requires solar to be implemented to the maximum extent possible on the roofs. All buildings must meet and exceed the then current Title 24 building standards by a minimum of 5%. Just keep in mind that Title 24 is already among the most progressive energy conscious design standards in the world. We plan on exceeding that expectation. Project commits to sustainability through appliances, requiring installation of Energy Star appliances and low flow water appliances. To help facilitate the achievement of the state's goals for transition to EVs or electric vehicles, the project requires residential projects to meet the voluntary Cal Green Tier 1 standards, which are 35% of the parking spaces be EV ready, and of those 10% be equipped with level 2 chargers. From a commercial and non-residential standpoint, again, they will meet and exceed the voluntary Cal Green Tier 1 standards for the number of EV spaces and EV ready spaces. From a pedestrian and bicycle standpoint, improvements to the right-of-way frontages to incorporate pedestrian and bike lane improvements consistent with the City of Indio standards. An integrated trail system connected to all streets that will connect to all street sidewalks. And all residential projects will include resident covered bike parking and storage. And then the future commercial will incorporate bike riding accommodating facilities such as showers and or changing rooms. And then lastly, from an industrial site control measure, we will include such measures as prohibition of diesel-fueled truck refrigerant units while on site, minimum truck idling time of 5 minutes, and zero emission industrial yard equipment such as yard trucks and forklifts will all be zero emission. This is our anticipated timeline. Draft EIR is scheduled to be released early this summer, back before the Planning Commission in the fall of this year, and the City Council later this year. Should be noted that we've had a community meeting in June of 2023, and an EIR scoping meeting was held in October of 2023. And relatedly, our team is committed to transparency and open communication with all interested parties. To that regard, we have engaged with CV Strategies to help coordinate this effort. Anybody interested should contact our email at outreach@theoasis@indio.com. And we have a website as well, it's theoasis@ndio.com as well, and there's a mailing list you can sign up for there. Housing opportunities are within walking distance of shopping, goods and services, employment opportunities, and public transit. We believe this is the right project for the site and for the city of Indio. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments for the applicant at this time?
Quick question on your outreach. How broad are you going with that? Because there's a lot of neighborhoods kind of to the south.
I'm going to bring my
or
expert up to answer
to
that
the north
question.
more. Yeah.
We'll be publicizing the outreach to the entire city. We're aware that there are communities that are going to be interested that are not super local.
Thank you.
Can you go into a little bit about the industrial portion of what that looks like?
Sure. Should I go back to one of the slides? So in this concept, again, it's a concept. This is two large buildings in this concept, so this is more likely to be a distribution or some sort of warehouse facility. So these are, both these buildings are around 850,000 square feet. That doesn't mean that we can't come up with a concept that has multiple buildings with multiple tenants in it. In this concept, you may have just two tenants. And so the idea is that with this location, they would use A Street to get onto Monroe and then directly out to I-10 to avoid any impacts along Avenue 42.
The Monroe, is that what you're saying, to I-10?
Yes, yes. So the A Street the industrial has no access to Avenue 42 directly. It would any access off the industrial would come to A Street, which is labeled private street on this exhibit, sorry. Then out to Monroe, and then down to the freeway.
Have you also looked at, instead of you said a distribution, but what about like a fulfillment center?
I think our specific plan is set up to be as flexible to allow any of those uses. We haven't identified a user now. We've had a couple of people reach out and talk to us, and then they go away. I think it's because of our timing, because we got a little bit of road ahead of us to get through here, so.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it looks really good. I love the fact that the industrial is kept, far enough away from 42 and the residents, and that looks like there is no access for the residents onto A Street or private street, right? That's going to be, or will they have access? Will there be exit points?
So
I can't
as I
tell.
described in my presentation, and it's hard to see. I wish that screen was blown up a little bit. We have like a 55 to 60 foot corridor along the top of A Street to provide a bit of a landscape buffer.
Uh-huh.
And so we're proposing to put a DG trail along there, so that it's another way for people to get around and get down to the commercial center to get to shopping and all that stuff.
But not with cars. It'll be walking
It'll
or
be all
bikes
walking, yeah,
or
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's so all the cars for the residential will only move on and off 42.
Or 42 unless there's a need for emergency access, which would come down to A Street.
Right. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So that's good. Can you go back to the highest density?
Mm-hmm.
We're not a super big city with tons of 5-6 foot, tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at this, what is your maximum height? And it's probably in that tiny little thing that I can't read.
So these are all conceptual building layouts.
Right.
This layout uses what's called a Texas wrap layout, which is where the garage is in the middle and the residential buildings surround it, so you don't see the garage.
Okay.
So the residents have direct access to their units. In this scenario, this is probably about a 4 to 5 story building.
Okay, and what you're asking for is the amendment to the general plan, so we can go up as large as this, or what was in the report.
Right.
But you haven't decided this is what's coming yet. That would be the next step when you come back.
Right. We would come in with site plan layouts and come back for approval on that. And that may or may not match this. It may be something similar or different.
Okay, So can you, and maybe I don't need to know this, but my question is, what is the reason for removing from the gateway specific plan? What is, and maybe that's a staff question plan, why that's necessary?
Removal from the gateway specific plan is necessary because they wouldn't be allowed to do or to have industrial uses under that specific plan. The gateway specific plan calls for higher density housing, and the housing that's outlined in the gateway specific plan is a bit antiquated and not necessarily market realistic for these times. As you might remember, we had a recent project come through that also requested specific plan of removal from the gateway specific plan. So it's just kind of an outdated specific plan that is still in action that kind of limits what landowners can do on their property.
Okay. I figured that was kind of what I wanted, but I wanted it for the record. That's what we were talking about.
And when I think the specific plan is really set for someone who owned the only western half of this project. We own all parcels, and so to make everything kind of work for our designs.
Kind of
proposals,
flow.
And flow, yeah.
Have you done a project similar to this somewhere else?
Yes.
Tell me
Well,
where.
it's similar. I've done larger. I did a specific plan in Santa Clarita for myself that was very large. And I've done I've done a couple, I did one in Sacramento and Oxnard, other communities I have done larger specific plans for.
But similar with the industrial,
The industrial, a lot of
the
mixed
mixed
use.
use.
Mixed use, yes, yes,
Okay.
high density.
okay. And it sounded like the housing, there's no decision at this time whether it'll be, people could buy a
Oh,
unit or
right.
whether it'll be rented. That'll be
Right.
up to market conditions at the
Yes.
time,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I think those are all my questions. Jackie?
I have one question for Kendra. Do we know, we have an update as to when we're looking at as far as the expansion of the Monroe exit and where that's at as far as funding is concerned to meet this demand?
Our city engineer, Mr. Juan Raya, has stated that around 2025 is when we will have funding and begin work on the interchange.
Since we're talking about the interchange, from beginning to end, when will it be completed approximately? So 2 years.
It will be, for the record, it'll be 18 to 24 months.
Okay, perfect.
And Monroe is slated first before Jackson?
That is correct. Yeah.
Any other questions for anybody? No? Okay, well, we appreciate you coming before us.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've looked at some of our other projects, and you know that we like color, a little bit of modern, unique architecture, just to give you a little bit, something to work at early. And, thank you for coming before us, and we look forward to seeing what's next.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 8, commissioner comments. Do we have any?
I would just like to say I attended the new Indio Tap House last night, their ribbon cutting ceremony, and it was a great start to our downtown district. And all the work we put in improving and moving forward with our downtown specific plan to kind of see this come to fruition was really cool. And also, it just reminded me going to downtown with my grandmother, and now I get to take my grandson with me to downtown. So it was a really great, cool moment yesterday to share that with council and the community yesterday, and looking forward to having more businesses opening in our downtown district.
Absolutely agree with that comment. Anything, Nico?
No, I agree. It's getting a lot of support from Indio, but also neighboring communities, and beginning of hopefully a lot of great things. Do we have any updates, quick question then, on those 2 apartments on Oasis?
Yes, so they have actually begun construction on, I believe, the 20-unit apartment complex. I can show you guys some pictures.
Please.
So they're up and going on that. I believe once those ones are open, they're going to move to the 30-unit and start building those up shortly after there. But they have pulled building permits for both of them.
Great.
And construction has started, so
That's
very exciting. And then
awesome.
I believe the Skyline apartments are going to get up and running soon too, as far as start of construction. But
Wow.
I can get more details on that and confirm with you guys.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, and happy birthday, Nico.
Oh, yeah. All right. I don't have any other comments. I'm super excited that we're finally seeing some movement on these downtown and some of these developments that are coming in. I think it's going to really change the face of Indio in hopefully a very short period of time in the scheme of things. And I'm looking forward to seeing that all come in. But thank you, everyone, and we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting to our next meeting on April 10th.
Sorry, one quick thing. I just wanted
Never mind.
to introduce our new Assistant City Attorney, Jennifer.
Oh, I forgot staff items.
I don't want to hold up the meeting, but I'm Jennifer Mizrahi, and I'm excited to be part of the team. I'm new to Indio, but I'm not new to the Coachella Valley. Been working here as either the assistant city attorney or a city attorney. I was city attorney for Desert Hot Springs for 12 years, and in Cathedral City and Rancho Mirage for 15, so been in the Coachella Valley for 20. I know it doesn't quite add up because some of it was overlapping, but so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and sorry that I missed that. I skipped over to the adjournment. Okay, so now we're going to adjourn until the April 10th, 2024 meeting. Thank you, everyone.